Now, your weekly dose of inspiration, perspiration, and just the right amount of bull defecation. The Get You Some Radio Show with your host, the Vice President of Making Shit Happen, Terry Lancaster.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the Get You Some studio. I'm Terry Lancaster, and today's guest is Mandy Morris. Now, Mandy is the author of Love, It's How I Manifest. And I'll tell you, I'm connected with a lot of people on Facebook. And to be 100% honest with you, I don't know how I ended up connected with most of the people that I'm connected with. Things just happen. I think maybe you're led in some direction, but somehow or another, I got connected with Mandy. And every day, Mandy would pop up on my Facebook feed with some enlightening, inspirational quote, and she ends everything with, and in case no one's told you today, I love you. And she just kind of exudes warmth and kindness and human kindness and friendliness. And I decided I wanted to talk to Mandy more and find out more about her. And that's kind of why I started the Get You Some radio show, so I can talk to people that I want to talk to. So Mandy, welcome aboard. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. And thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm excited for you to be here. So like I said, we got connected, and I didn't really know a whole lot about you, but then when I saw that you had the book coming out, I said, well, that's the perfect excuse for us to have a conversation. Let's have her on the show. So tell me about the book. Tell us about the book and how you got there and how the book came about.
Yeah, so and I'm such a nerd. I got to show you guys it. So I was sitting there. This was actually last year. It only took me 3 months to write the book. I had this bout of inspiration, and that's really how I've done most of my work. And I was like, I have to write a book. All of a sudden, it was like, I have to do this, and I got to do it fast, and we got to make it happen. And so I set this goal, and I was like, I hope that it's done by next year, maybe mid next year. And 3 months later, it was already getting published, and it was all done. So it was kind of a play on one of my online programs, which is 30 Days to an Authentic Life. Yeah. And I was like, what does the world need right now? Why is there pain internally? And, I was doing a lot of therapy, flying around the world, doing different things, which I can talk about later. And I was like, what does the world need that everybody can have? And it was basically these 30 lessons that I just kind of jam-packed together of all these ways for people to kind of get back to themselves, to find the core of themselves, and to kind of re-exercise that intuitive muscle that has just totally died out in most of us, and bring that back for us so that people can find the answers that they need in their life and do it themselves instead of always having to look to a therapist or a coach in order for that to happen.
Right. So that's where the book, but so this came from a program that you had done. So you have more programs about, is it about manifesting love? How did you get to this point?
Well, so I worked in a junkyard. I worked every job. I was in every bad relationship you can imagine. I was not authentic by any means. And when I started really creating a beautiful life, or every time that I would, I'm naturally, I studied quantum physics and metaphysics, kind of on my own. And I was just really fortunate to kind of grow up around some really incredible individuals who were tapped into that. And I was like, why am I not actually practicing, these things that I can feel are within me, and that I also understand on a scientific level? And so I started studying manifestation, basically. How does someone create the life that they want? And not in a woo-woo way where people are like, oh, just sit and do affirmations for the rest of your life and it'll work out. Right. I'm like, the science brain in me just wants something tangible, and also something that can be, duplicated, someone else can run with. And so I started kind of researching and reverse engineering how individuals were creating their life almost instantaneously in a beautiful way, and how I was able to do that as well. And that's what kind of built the book. And I realized that when someone is in their true self, and some people call it authentic, and some people just call it centered, or whatever it is, but when they're in that space, the vibration, and everyone has kind of their personal frequency, but literally the vibration that the human being is sending out is in direct resonance to everything that they truly desire. And ultimately, when we talk about manifesting, we're talking about manifesting an emotion. We think the Ferrari is going to make us feel accomplished.
Right.
But how skill is going to bring us peace. And so really it's an emotion that we're trying to get to. And so reverse engineering that emotional process and pattern with brain really kind of does behavioral patterns over and over again that don't actually satisfy us. We can rewire all of that so that the brain literally sends out different energy in the heart and so forth that are actually in resonance with our truest desires.
And that's kind of my, that's always been my problem with the woo-woo manifestation vision board whole thing. And that people they spend their time, or the people, they read about manifestation or the law of attraction or the secret or whatever word they put on it, and they decide, okay, I want the Ferrari, I want the house on the hill, and they go build this vision board, and they put the Ferrari on it, they put the house on the hill on it, and they think about all the stuff that's missing in their life. They think about all the stuff that they don't have, and they end up being, sad because I don't have that stuff, and then they wonder why a week later they don't have the stuff. And so what I kind of encourage people to do is to go for the backwards, is like you were saying, to look for the feeling. And the feeling I try and encourage one is the gratitude. Starting where you are, think about what's really great and amazing in your life now, and just kind of lean into that. And if you lean into that, then it'll lean into you, and more of that will show up. Is that kind of the way it works?
I absolutely. And I think that, the funny thing is that everybody kind of manifests differently. So that's why some people can think it and then it literally shows up. And I think that that's because they're in direct resonance to where they're truly at, where they're truly supposed to be. And when you're in that space, you allow for yourself to manifest from a completely different emotional frequency. So, each person's different, but the main thing is, if someone's asking for something and it's not showing up, it's because they have energy going this way and going this way. And their conscious mind saying, I want the Ferrari or the house on the hill or the beautiful partnership. And then the other energy, which is really the subconscious, is all the time sending out a completely opposing energy saying, but love isn't safe. But you won't be happy, or, what if you lose the Ferrari? It's better to just not even get it because you won't be able to sustain it. But that's like that internal chatter that is also sending out completely opposing energy in an opposite direction. And so then we wonder why it's not showing up. It's because we're not actually in alignment with what it is that we're sending out into the universe.
All right. So I'm gonna tell you who's watching the show with us right now. We have car salesmen in Topeka, Kansas, and we have insurance agents in Northern California, and we have real estate agents here in Nashville, Tennessee. And so a lot of these are salespeople, these are entrepreneurs, and like you said, a lot of this sounds kind of woo-woo. What are some steps that they can take? How do you start thinking? How do you start and this is what we're doing. How do you start rewiring your brain to create the life that you want to live? I mean, and not in a woo-woo way. I mean, I don't have any incense around to burn. So I don't have a magic carpet. What do we need to do if we don't have incense and magic carpets? What are some things scientifically things that we can do to start leaning into the life we want?
Go into kind of the psychology of it. So, some people don't like to think about the universe and energy and the way that manipulates, but what about the way that your brain receives and interprets information? So, what belief patterns, what does your actions constantly show that your belief patterns are, or your belief systems really are? And so when I look at like money, for me, for a long time, I had this idea that if I make a lot of money, which I wanted to do, I would have to work all the time. That means that I can't be a mother, I can't have a family, I'm not actually gonna have time to enjoy my work, and I'm not gonna be able to wake up when I want to wake up and travel when I want to, and so forth. So although I really desperately wanted that, my belief system and the way that I was raised and how I grew up, when I really broke down my belief systems on love, marriage, relationships, career, money making, and all of those things, it was totally out of alignment. The thought pattern that I had underlying in my subconscious, which were actually showing what my actions were bringing forth to me, were not in alignment with what I said that I desired. So what I always do, and it's one of the simplest things, it's called, and it's actually in the book, it's called What About You Is Not You. And that's where you go through your belief inventory and say, does this belief system, the way that I think love is beautiful, it's amazing, it's magical, but I sabotage all my relationships. So clearly that's not my belief system. So then we go through, what's the true belief system? And the belief system may be that love is unsafe. And so we just subconsciously just reject anything that would be like a healthy form of love. Mm-hmm. And so when you're breaking down all of your belief systems, that's where you go, wow, no wonder my life does not look the way it's supposed to look. It's totally being sabotaged on a subconscious level because my parents showed me that love is not safe. Or, this relationship showed me that it always ends, or whatever it is. When we go through a belief system and the inventory there, it's amazing what we find. And then we're like, wow, we're not living consciously at all. We're living from our subconscious, which has been programmed before we were even able to know or make our own decision on what's most authentic and true to ourselves. What belief systems do we truly want to have, and what types of actions would those belief systems show throughout life? And then you can start kind of rewiring that gray matter in the brain so that the reactions change and the energy changes around it.
Yeah, I mean that like I said, all of my audience are entrepreneurs, and they're all hard driving, are all type A people, and people like that. We all like to think that we're in charge of our lives, that we're running this rodeo, that we're products of our decisions, and we're not really products of our decisions. We're products of our habits, and we're products of the way that our brain is programmed, and the way that we've programmed our brain to function, and the way that our brain has been programmed to function over the course of our lives. So,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely. And it's so funny because
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say,
I was going to say,
I think we
you
got a
go
little,
for real.
I think we got a little delay going on. No, I was just going to, I was going to ask you go ahead. You said you something in the book. So reach out and say that part again.
Well, it's just, when we look at, because I was 100% the type A person, to the point where I had this corporate job and I thought that, I was doing great things. I started my PhD and I was, doing great in life, but I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And so I thought, truly, as much as I thought I was in control of everything, I was ran by fear instead of like a place of like love, of truth, of, believing in myself genuinely. I may have looked like I had, everything together, but there was this belief system that was stopping me from really going 100% in my life. And once I was able to bring, just literally, when you just pour conscious awareness into certain components of your life and your belief systems, they just kind of start shifting themselves, because, once you wake up, you really can't go back to sleep, basically.
Yeah. Once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. So how did your life change, and how long did it take to change? What did it look like in real time?
Oh my gosh. So, well, one of the things is something that one of my very good friends always says, is that it doesn't take 10 years to change. It takes 1 second, because that is the moment that you actually make the decision to change.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me years to decide to actually take control of my life. But the moment that I did, within 2 weeks, I had left a relationship, I had moved out of a state, and I had quit a job. And I was full force running. And within 30 days, I had started my business, and I launched a program. It was a 30-day program, and people actually bought. And I was like, what? This is insane. This is possible. My mind I did not have an entrepreneurial mind starting in my journey. And it was something that I had to constantly work with on a very conscious level, to be like, I want a beautiful life. Clearly, I was not in the right mindset before with it. So I'm going to have to rewrite a lot of my mindsets to be successful. And I kind of surrendered everything that I used to think or know, or, all those programs that kept running in my head, and the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. I let those go as much as possible. And it was like just dead weight gone. And I just soared. And I feel like extremely accessible, extremely fast. But it was because I wasn't holding on to those behavioral patterns and those belief systems that weren't really true to me.
All right. So for our audience, my promise to everyone is we're going to give everyone one action step. What's one thing that you can do today, as soon as you get off the show, as soon as you quit watching? What's something that you can leave the show today and start doing in your life to manifest the life you want to lead?
So I have two that come up for me right now. One is very simple, very tangible, is have your morning routine and truly stick to it. A morning routine that is not stressful. Don't immediately pick up your cell phone and just let all of that, kind of go into your brain before you center yourself. And so I call it grounding. It's just, I really can't meditate very much. I try, but I just like to sit with myself and experience my own energy for a moment before I invite all of my clients, or, all of the things that I might have to deal with that day that are, my business. I'm running at 14, 16, 20 hours a day, as I'm sure all of us are. And I just want to center myself first, because that makes creation so much easier. That morning routine, whatever it is, do some things that just really bring you to yourself, and be in that energy for a moment. Even if you have kids and so forth, just take those few moments and do something habitually, and change it when it doesn't work anymore and so forth. But make sure that you're stepping into the day with gratitude and with that feeling of like, I know who I am today and every day, and I can step forth in that. And the second one is, I call it love versus fear, or light versus heavy. And it's how I live literally my entire life. And whenever one of my clients, and I pretty much only work with entrepreneurs, and I help them with different facets of their actual business, but also the mindset is the hugest thing, whether they want to go to 6 figures, 7 or 8, whatever it is. And it's love versus fear in the sense of every decision that you make, or the thoughts that you have, or the beliefs that you hold on to, do they come from a place of love, or do they come from a place of fear? And some people don't, like the love versus fear. So I call it light versus heavy. Does it make you feel heavy, or does it make you feel light? When I look at like a partnership, someone's coming to me saying, hey, let's joint venture, I want to do this. I will sit with myself and go, okay, it sounds great, the money's definitely there and so forth. Why does it feel heavy to me? And every time that I have stepped forward in something that's felt heavy, I find out way later and much more difficultly learning the lesson. But if I make decisions from a place of light and love, I'm kind of allowing myself to flow through life. And it's really my intuition. Just like a dog can tell a thunderstorm's coming before we can, they have intuition. We actually have senses that are kind of precursors to what is going to happen in the future. And when we tap into that, we can flow through life. And that's really what I call manifesting. It's not that you're snapping your fingers and $1 million is right there, but it's you're guiding yourself based on a feeling of lightness and really your intuition to lead you down that path. Because there's an infinite number of possibilities in the world. Clearly we can have whichever one we want, but how do we get to each one? And I believe that having that love versus fear, just like from this and every day forward, make decisions from a place of lightness that feels right to you, even if it doesn't make logical sense, because logical mind is your programming most of the time anyway. It's not truly serving you, doesn't equate to a beautiful life most often. But make those decisions from a place of light. And that can be something as simple as, what kind of coffee am I going to drink today, to do I step into this partnership, or whatever it is. Use that. It's such a simple tool, but the results are incredible. And it's such an easy thing. Every time you're like, I'm lost, I'm not feeling okay about whatever it is, life, business, you can step back into that and say, okay, why is that? Is this love? Is this fear? Whatever it is, does this feel light to me? Does it feel heavy to me? And your intuition will start guiding you back to a place of centeredness, which is the easiest place to create from and make money from and live a beautiful life from anyway.
It's funny. I've always been the entrepreneurial, straight ahead kind of guy, but I found out a little while back that I made a couple of decisions that I couldn't really decide why I made the decision. I go, that decision doesn't make any business sense. And I came at it from a different place. I go, you know what? This is what I need to do, and even if it's not the right business thing, this is what I need to do. And those decisions I make that way have been the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It's just the right decision. And I couldn't even begin to tell you why it's the right decision, but it just is.
Yeah, you trust it.
Yeah. So tell us about your life now. What does Mandy's life look like when you wake up every day, and what are you excited about? What's going on in your life?
Oh my gosh, life it's still life, and it still has, the ups and downs of life, but it is incredible, because I feel like I step into it with so much power. And not control in a way that's, small-minded, but just I feel powerful every day. So I wake up, literally what I used to sit there and write about in my perfect life, I have it, and I'm like, okay, now I got to rewrite it, because that was too small, So I wake up when I want to wake up. We literally just moved into this big, beautiful home. We're living in Texas right now. We travel all the time. I have my clients always flying into me. We do lots of different workshops. I'm starting a certification program. I was doing some studies in Norway last year. I was invited to do some therapy. They wanted to see how I was doing what I was doing. How could I get results so quickly? And so I was able to test out some new technologies and old technologies in like the biomimicry fields and voice analysis, and kind of combine this communicative therapy that I do and figuring out how to, teach other individuals that. And we had, psychiatric nurses foreshadowing me and taking notes and kind of learning the process. And then combining it with this technology to get the brain to really receive information correctly. And that was just magic. And so I'm super excited, because I'm starting the certification processes for my therapists, and then starting to bring forth what I created in Norway. I'm going to be bringing it to the US, hopefully by the end of this year, and creating clinics so that therapy can be done in a way that's a little bit more evolved, a little bit more futuristic, if you will, and also results can happen way, way faster.
And how do people get in touch with you if they wanted to get in touch with you, if they wanted to buy the book, if they wanted to come in and see you, if they wanted to work with you? How would they do that?
My website is the easiest way to not so much get in touch with me, but see everything that's currently going on. We've got some philanthropic initiatives going on in the Philippines for anyone who wants to jump in on some cool stuff there, or you can buy the book there. You can check out the programs. Most of my workshops, you have to go through one of my programs in order to go into that. So once you have one of those 30-day programs in your hands, then you can apply for one of the workshops. But my website is mandymorris.love. Super simple, mandymorris.love, and you can find all that information there. And of course, there's a contact email and so forth.
mandymorris.love, and the book is Love. It's How I Manifest. Mandy, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. I had a great time. I'm looking forward to seeing you manifest more of what you do. Have a great day. Bye now.
Being the boss is fun. Taking your ideas, turning them into something new, and watching it grow. Oh, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun until it's not. Most businesses reach a point where good ideas, common sense, and hard work just aren't enough anymore. They get stuck. Now, it's time to get unstuck. Unstuck 10 proven strategies for breaking through the barriers to small business growth. Get your copy today and get unstuck.
Get You Some Radio. You've been listening to the Get You Some Radio Show. Subscribe today at terrylancaster.tv to hear more episodes, win valuable cash and prizes, and get free training to help you create an army of buyers who know, like, and trust you before they've ever even met you. It's a big, wide world, boys and girls. Get out there and get you some.